Well, happy Monday. I'm glad to be back in office and back to work. Had a long weekend at MythCon, and there's a lot to cover. First, I want to cover the curious tale of TellTale games. Now, a lot of people at the convention were asking me my opinion. A lot of people were alluding to them as a get woke, go broke situation. And so at my first pass, I didn't really see any major controversies. However, after many of you submitted information to me, I think a fun little video for today will be whether we think it was their wokeness or something else that caused TellTale Games to close up. By the way, laying off the overwhelming majority of their staff with no severance, which blows. Even if I disagree with their political ideology or things they've done like that, being laid off with no severance and virtually no notice from what it looks like is not cool. So it's being reported now that TellTale, by the way, I've got an update on their Last of Us story. But so if you don't know who they are, they're an independent game developer and publisher that champion narrative-based video games. So they were like point-and-click adventures, but they fit a specific niche for people that kind of just like to learn more about the story. And for a while, they were very popular. They put out games like The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones, and Batman, and bought and sold them as piecemeal as like seasons. So you buy like season 1, season 2, season 3, and you kind of just go through the game, but you learn more about the story. And they have basically leaned on licensing. They've been around since 2004. They've had Sam & Max, Bone, and eventually Jurassic Park, Back to the Future. And so it's for people that really enjoy the story base, learning more of the story. It's like watching a TV show. And they really, really hit it with The Walking Dead when they start with 2012. And they use a lot of the narrative information out there to present more of the story. Now, of course, these days, I would say people are getting pretty burnt out on Walking Dead. And while it continues to do well on TV, people are tuning out. But this was a great way to learn more about the series. However, with that success, it was named Game of the Year back then. They nearly doubled the size of its offices to expand to 400 employees. It began churning out episodic content based on IPs like Guardians of the Galaxy and Minecraft. However, after the rapid growth came a rocky collapse. The studio laid off 90 people back in November, and harsh working conditions at the company were detailed in March in an article at The Verge. In June, TellTale's former chief executive, Kevin Brunner, sued the company, which he had helped to fund. And if we look at that article, they're talking about basically how terrible it was to work there. And from a business perspective, I've been a part of companies like this that basically it's not whether or not they're good at what they do. They find themselves in a lucky position, and they overinvest. That's what it looks like from a business perspective. People go crazy. I was working at a company where just one of our arms went from making $8 million to $30 million in a year. Well, we ended up buying 2 big buildings, expanding our staff, and then over time, that business eroded, and all of the many other things we were investing in were failing, and we ended up having to lay off 60% of the staff. So I've been through something exactly like this. Now, they talked back here in 2018 about TellTale, including co-founders Kevin Brunner, Dan Connors, Walking Dead creator Robert Kirkman. At the time, TellTale Studio was under 100 people, small by mainstream studio standards, where headcounts can range from hundreds to thousands. The conditions, however, almost always hit one group the hardest: the developers, or the people who actually make the games. Layoffs are a pervasive fact of life, even at the studios where developers are often hired en masse to hit tight deadlines and then fired to cut costs. This is very common. The game ships or is canceled. With the next deadline, the cycle begins anew. Overwork, job insecurity, and profound burnout are omnipresent concerns. More than 3/4 of developers working under the, quote, crunch conditions, which can mean working up to 20 hours a day, more than 100 hours a week. These practices can have a significant debilitating cost to employees. And so you end up seeing lots of missteps and a huge, basically, expose of former developers and employees coming out to say, look, we put in a lot of extra hours. Let's say, went from a small company and a scrappy team to kind of a giant studio full of 300 people. Walk around the studio, walk around the office, you don't really recognize anyone. Sources say the culture of the studio never properly adapted from its indie mentality to one more appropriate for its larger size. Tribal knowledge persisted over clearly documented process, and a lack of communication among employees ended up, this is just common. This is when you are a poor leader, inexperienced leader, and these are the strongest contributing factors to failure. To not be prepared to succeed is a very common thing in business. We find out today, though, that Netflix actually still intends to produce Stranger Things game despite TellTale collapse. So that's good news for those of you that are fans of that franchise. But now to the woke levels. Now, at first, it seemed like maybe there wasn't very much. But when you look, they have all of the telltale signs of social justice, attacking their customers, using third wave feminism hiring tactics, using all the buzzwords you might examine or you might expect. And we can look at just a few. Here's one from September. Honest question coming from a place of wanting to be as inclusive and respectful as possible. If you're organizing a group event, women, etc., well, where everyone except cis men, what should you call it? Women, women plus, gender diverse, something else. Here we have a TellTale had a higher than industry average number of women to men ratio. I was proud to work with so many cool ladies. I hope I can again someday. Okay. Cleaning out some old photos from my phone, I found this one of a couple years ago, the women of TellTale. Okay. Then we see new update on TellTale and possibly the last for today. In light of the statement from TellTale and Pete Howley, the Walking Dead series final season has also been canceled. The skeleton crew remaining at TellTale will be working on Minecraft story mode for Netflix. And you can see here, this is TellTale story games based on Steam owners, November 2017 to present. So they had this meteoric rise and never really recovered. A little bit early, maybe here in late 2013, but basically right down the board. Never really even be getting close to maintain. So you could say a lot of the reason that they succeeded was they got lucky. They got lucky riding the hype train of Walking Dead, and they must have produced a decent product for a period of time, right? Because people stuck around. Then you see stuff like this from this year. TellTale Games, her character development is unprecedented in games now. With the end to her story fast approaching, Clementine has taken her place among the great female protagonists. Retweeting a Eurogamer article talking about how Clementine gave birth to a, quote, feminist icon. The fans reacted accordingly. The top tweet being and TellTale getting woke, saying, bye then. Then we say, TellTale, we love a feminist icon named Clementine. Leave policies out of our games. Making fun of the customer. I'm assuming he meant politics. Then we have TellTale saying, we stan our feminist icon Clementine. Right? We have a customer saying, screw feminists. And then we have them replying snarkily with a bye. So we clearly have the typical SJW mode of attacking your customers, knowing better than your customers. We have other employees saying, if you go and dig out a tweet from me signal boosting a TellTale job and encouraging women to apply from years ago to tell me that this is why the studio shut down, you deserve to burn in hellfire. Well, here's the tweet. TellTale is looking for more, all caps, female applicants for an awesome creative director job. And then replies, please don't be a dick like last time when I asked for specifically female applicants and apply when you're a guy. Seriously. We have another former TellTale employee. Hey, there's a group of trolls trying to devalue TellTale devs and start controversy by saying that some of us are Trump supporters, including me. I'm a socialist, communist, feminist, bisexual who never dream of voting for him. Don't listen to these weirdos. Ignore them. Well, that is just she's speaking for their entire development team, clearly. Sounds pretty woke to me. And then we have another series of, here we have her original tweet. We have the typical pronouns in the bio, all sorts of what appear to be very, very woke characteristics. Now, to me, I would say it is a combination of terrible business management, not being ready to succeed specifically. I don't even want to talk about the quality of their games because I don't believe that's why they failed. They put too many eggs in one basket. They expanded way too fast. They got rich off this one lucky stroke and it happens every day in business. I think that's probably what happened to them. However, accelerating their death comes with attacking your customers, promoting ideology, being sexist when you hire people. And maybe if they had hired using meritocracy and not social justice tactics, they might have hired better, talented people who could have given them better advice rather than having the right genitals. I look forward to hearing what your thoughts are in the comment section down below. We'll talk to you again real soon.